the one man he could rely on to coax the thing open in a hurry. With a few careful spins and a deft touch on the release lever, the sergeant cracked the heavy door open on the second try. A manila envelope bound with red tape sat inside an otherwise empty safe. Curious. You have my thanks once more. That will be all. As the sergeant excused himself, the captain tore the envelope free and closed the safe. It was labeled with the current date and addressed to the duty officer, A-135 Battery, 9th Aerospace Defense Division. He checked his watch. 05:28. 2 minutes until whatever deadline had been imposed on him. He untied the string clasp and shook the contents into his hand. While the outer packaging was clearly new, the inner packaging was clearly not. Another, much older envelope fell out. He drew the blade of his pocket knife across a seam that had been yellowed and softened by the years to find a single sheet of paper within. The message began with an otherwise unremarkable string of numbers and abbreviated prefixes. Even without the prefixes, the captain recognized them as a table of astronomical coordinates. Right ascension, declination, altitude, bearing. A targeting solution. His cell phone began ringing at 05:30 sharp, startling him. Even more startling was the incoming caller, Commanding General, 9th Division. A-135 Battery, Captain Popov. He felt like an idiot, snapping to attention for a telephone call. I believe you have a fire mission, Captain. Yes, sir. He swallowed, contemplating the intercept orders, which appeared to be older than he was. It appears that the vectors and release sequence have been determined for some time. Yes, I found that hard to escape notice as well. The young officer studied the intercept vectors as he returned to his station in the operations center and scrolled through a catalog of known objects. But there is nothing there, Comrade General, he whispered into the phone, meaning that, of course, nothing occupied that point in space at this particular time. Rather, there was nothing in their database of potential threats that should be anywhere close to that region of space in the next 12 hours. Not with the approach angle these numbers implied. Where did they think this phantom target was coming from? You have your orders, Captain, the general said, and I have mine. If you are for any reason unable to carry them out, then my orders would be, let us say, regrettable. Do you foresee any difficulties? He didn't, yet the thinly veiled threat frightened him anyway, as unspecified dire consequences from a flag officer tended to do. Why wouldn't he carry out his orders if it was just to intercept old space junk? If the general hadn't called, he'd have assumed it was a long-planned live-fire exercise. Captain? No, sir, he insisted. There will be no difficulties. He looked back at the specified countdown sequence, and then up at the chronograph above the control center's giant wall screens. If that will be all, sir, I must see to my duties. Good man. The call ended at the other end with a firm click. The target emerged on the Siberian early warning net within seconds of the predicted time. Popov saw it appear on his own monitor before the watch chief notified him of a new target. Very well, he answered, and noted the new velocity vector now flashing above as it began continually updating. Designate target Zulu 1 and track to intercept, Sergeant. Intercept, sir. He was taken aback at how rapidly the tracking solutions were changing. The target had appeared at the very edge of their deep space network's range, and it was nearing a firing solution, just as the countdown sequence had instructed. No wonder he'd been ordered to spin up the anti-ballistic missile interceptors an hour ago. You heard me, Sergeant. That object has been designated a threat, and we are to eliminate it. This is why we are here. Remember Chelyabinsk. Whatever this thing was, the memory of a meteor whose effect had been indistinguishable from an airburst nuclear bomb could be counted on to motivate them to protect their homeland. Of course, sir. It is moving rather fast, but tracking radars are keeping up. Popov watched the intercept solution unfold. As the sergeant had noted, it was moving improbably fast.